Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the whole elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Got to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, the Most High, the Heavenly Father. His Hebrew name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shah, not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shah. So got to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rekah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elder bishops and elders of Great Millstone who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, already accepted or not. In the sincere salutation to all the Arkin pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world. We know the hope for the elect. Shalom to the Aqua through our listen learning. You few sisters who are listen learning. I'm Isaiah from Geopolitical Arctic coming at you in the lesson. And true facts, faith, and edification, another day of edification, Lord willing, is be edifying. So I titled this lesson. I might change the title. The Lord is forcing them to change the monetary system. Because this is the Lord's movement. What we are seeing is, what we understand, this is the Lord changing, forcing them to change this monetary system because their time is running out, man. Everything that's going on with these little smaller proxy wars, with everything that's going on, man, it's all leading to the MOTB. So what the Lord is doing is forcing these people to change the monetary system. So I want to play. I got two clips. Shalom to the Akhmanah from the comment board. Shalom. While I'm tuning in, yeah, but Shema Shah Thumb. So I got these two clips I want to play from yesterday. I want to go into a little more in detail, just dealing with the monetary system. So Lord wasn't be edifying. But first I want to read this. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Everything that got to do from these devils taking the farmland to these this so-called pandemic, everything that's going on, man, the food shortages, all this is leading. This is gradualism and conditioning, man, and it's all leading to the MOTB because everybody, what they got, it's called problem reaction solution, man. Problem reaction solution. This is them. Well, this is Yahweh Shema Shah using these devils to deceive 2/3 of the people, man. That's what this is. This is Yahweh Shema Shah using these devils to deceive 2/3 of the people, man. So I want to play this first. So let's play these first. I'll go back to these from yesterday. Cause they mentioned in this, and I was rewatching the video. Cause they mentioned about the money go like over there in the UK or whatever in Europe, it might hit 13% inflation. Well, in the 1980s, that happened here in North America. I did a lesson on a little while ago, maybe a couple months ago, how the inflation hit here in the 80s at 13%, and they say it could possibly rise to 18%. But let's play this. Oh, let me turn this volume down. See, this is the Lord forcing these devils, man, to change this monetary system because they are running out of time, man. Their time is almost up. So the Lord got them pushing because it got to seem like their plan is going to work. The Lord making it seem like their enterprise will pan out. But we know according to these scriptures that it ain't. So Lord willing, be edifying.
Well, firstly today, the United Kingdom has announced an 80% hike in electricity and gas bills, worsening the current cost of living crisis. Britain's energy regulator Ofgem announced it will increase its energy price cap in October to an average of nearly $4,200 per year, which is nearly double the current price cap of $2,323. The regulator blamed the soaring wholesale gas costs after Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
So the price cap is a cap on the price that energy suppliers can pay for units, can charge for units of energy. It's not a cap on a bill, it's a cap on the unit of energy. We've just heard that it's increased by another 80%, another £750. That's about £2,000 on a bill in a 12-month period. What it means is that an average UK energy bill is going to be around £3,500 when a year ago it was about £1,200. It is simply unaffordable for millions of people in Britain, and it's already caused huge amounts of privation, debt, anxiety, and grief, and it will only get worse as we head into the winter.
All right, I'm standing here in front of the federal courthouse in Washington, D.C., and inside is the first jury trial that was brought forth by special counsel John Durham in his ongoing quest to get to the...
Household and business consumers, energy suppliers, and opposition politicians are calling for urgent government action. They demand the government do more to avoid putting the most vulnerable in desperate situations. This is as the Tories elect their next leader to replace Boris Johnson as Prime Minister. And with UK inflation already in double digits and forecasts to strike 13% in the coming months, the near doubling in the cap will likely throw millions into fuel poverty, forced to choose between heating or eating. And if that wasn't worrisome enough, the nation is predicted to enter recession later this year. Well, joining me for more now in London is Laura Macon-Isherwood. Laura, thanks so much for joining us. Some experts are calling this rise a catastrophe. Just give us a sense of how this will work, why it's been imposed, and what people can now do.
Well, as you've explained, it's effectively a cap on the amount that people...
See, you heard what he said? He said what people can now do. See, this is conditioning, man. This is conditioning. This is conditioning people because they got a agenda. It's called problem, reaction, solution. So what the people can do? This all leading to the MOTB, man.
People are going to be charged for the units of energy that they are.
We got to remember who controls, these devils control everything, man. They control law. They control the money. This is the power that the Lord gave these devils, man. So you got to remember everything that's going on is going on through the elites, man.
Are supplied with in their homes. Also, a cap on the limits that suppliers can charge for simply having those households hooked up to the national grid and making sure that they have those supplies of gas.
See, having those households hooked up to the national. Hold on, you see, that's what has. I gotta go back through. I was listening to this last night, man. Listen.
Also, a cap on the limits that suppliers can charge for simply having those households hooked up to the national grid and making sure that they have those supplies of gas and electricity.
How are they going to be hooked up to the grid? Through the MOTB, man.
Now, every 3 months, we're now going to see a revision of these price caps. So it's likely that this could increase even further. The suppliers, of course, saying that they need to raise these prices because of the increased cost of energy coming from around the world since the West decided to move away from Russian supplies. Now people are racing, of course, to try to plug the gap left by those supplies, and households are having to take the brunt of those increased costs that suppliers are having to pay. So it's a bit of a knock-on effect moving down the chain, and it could push a lot of households into what's known as fuel poverty, when people are forced to spend more than 10% of their income on those electricity and gas supplies. Now, as you said, campaigners have called this catastrophic, saying that millions of people will simply not be able to pay this, not be able to basically afford the bills that land on their doormats. Now, what can people do? There's a campaign at the moment where many people are saying that they're simply going to cancel their direct debits and refuse to pay their bills once that price cap comes into play on October the 1st. However, consumer rights groups are advising people not to do that, saying instead they need to talk to their suppliers, explain their situation, and try to sort out some sort of repayment scheme, an agreement between both the customer.
See, you heard she said they're going to cancel out their debits and come up with some payment scheme. You see, this is, man. See, I missed this yesterday, man, but I went back and rewatched this. The things that's happening, it don't gotta be big. It don't gotta be something big. They doing it through these little small things, man. What they say, never let a good crisis go to waste, man. So it's through these small things that we see happening every day that changes are being made. And again, this is how about Shema Shah move these chess pieces strategically, man. This is what's going on, man. And it's happening at a rapid pace, man. It ain't moving slow. They got to make this mandatory soon because their time is running out, man.
And the supplier. There are also some grants that suppliers are offering, so it's well worth people checking with their supplier if there are those grants available for them to use. And the government, of course, is looking to this £37 billion pot of money that they're putting aside to help support families. They're going to offer £400 per year to households to help go towards those energy costs. Other payments will be offered to those on the lowest incomes as well as those that are disabled as well. But campaigners are saying this simply isn't going to be enough to help support people as they face these astronomical bills and ones that could get even higher next year.
And Laura, just finally, this situation goes really hand in hand with inflation. How is this energy price cap really going to have an impact on inflation in the UK?
Well, there are concerns that it's going to exacerbate this problem. The Bank of England is predicting that inflation could hit around 13% because of this increase in that price cap. It's effectively meaning that people have less in their pockets to spend on things like going out, buying other items. And so consequently, there will be an issue there in terms of the amount of money circulating within the economy, the amount that people have to spend on disposable items. There are reports as well, predictions from other financial groups that inflation rate could surpass 13%, hitting 18% next year when the next price cap rise is inevitably announced. And that will obviously increase the cost of living for people. It's going to make this problem even worse. Now, the risk then is that businesses as well will have to foot extra bills for the amount of these energy prices that are increasing. That then could be passed on to those customers within those properties as well. The situation just seems to be exacerbated by one thing and then another. And the risk now.
You see, 13, right? And they said in the 80s, in the article I had pulled up in the lesson I did a couple months ago, they said that the inflation was at 13.5 in the 80s, right? They use this number. They use this number as witchcraft, man. Okay? You can look it up on Google. They use this number as witchcraft. And that number represents Yahushua and the 12 disciples, man. Okay? They use this number, man. When the Conquistadors and Spaniards, when they came over here, they hung up Jake, Gad, and Reuben and Issachar 13 at a time, man. You go look it up.
Is that we are heading towards a recession, and this could cause even more of a problem for the economy and for people as we move through into next year.
Yeah, lots of economic concern for the UK, that's for sure. Thanks, Laura. That was Laura Makin-Isherwood in London for us. Now, for more...
See, if this happening in the UK, it's happening in the UK, all over Europe. This letting you know what? It's going to happen everywhere, man. This is that conditioning.
We're being joined by Hilary Ingham from London. She's an economist at Lancaster University. Hilary, thanks so much for joining us. Firstly, how serious of a situation is this economically with the price, the price cap rising, and also, as we say, inflation rising as well?
Well, it's an incredible problem. I mean, you know, that the prices are over £3,500. That's for your typical household. And I mean, it has been reported that for a lot of people, this is now going to exceed their mortgage payments. And as your last commentator said, it's not just households, there's businesses as well. And there's a report today that one hotel in the UK has actually said they're going to close in the winter simply because they won't be able to afford to heat the rooms. And of course, the other thing we have to take into account is that we are coming up to winter. And so we've got great uncertainty. And if we have a mild winter, that will, to an extent, help the problem. But if we have a severe winter, then that is going to make this far worse. So for many, many households, and it is now not just those on lower incomes, it is across the board. People are worried about how they are actually going to pay these bills. And of course, you know, we're in an inflationary situation. This is going to fuel it. You know, the 13% is recognised by the Bank of England. But again, as your last commentator said, this could be like 18%. So we're very much in a sort of inflationary time and facing a recession. So economically, you know, we are in quite a bad place.
Yeah, and a lot of people are extremely worried, as you say, about inflation reaching that 18% figure. Now, the war in Ukraine, it still doesn't really have an end in sight. And a lot of economies have been impacted badly because of that duration of that war. The longer this goes on, how much of an impact does this have on economies across the world, and especially here in the UK?
It's having a big impact because, of course, we know that Russia is actually now cutting off supplies from Nord Stream 1. But of course, we were expecting there to be additional supplies from Nord Stream 2, which is now completely off the agenda. And although we know Germany is very dependent on Russian supplies, the rest of the EU is, you know, less so. But we have to compete in world markets. And therefore, you know, the supplies of liquefied gas, the price of that is going up. There's nuclear ongoing repairs to the French capacity. Norway is actually repairing its facilities as well. So we're all competing in a worldwide market. Supply has fallen, so price is going to go up. So I don't see that this problem is going to disappear in the near future. There is no indication that President Zelensky is going to be thinking about talking to the Russians about a peace deal. So I don't think we can see the end of this war for possibly another year, if not more.
Yeah, extremely worrying times ahead. Thanks so much for your time.
Yes, it is. That's why you don't got the Lord, man. How people gonna be through, man? Because this is gonna affect Jake mostly. So let's get this other clip. You had to go back and rewatch these, man. Because that's a lot of nuggets in these, man. And this is dealing with these devils. The Lord got a spirit in these devils, and they gotta change up, man. They gotta change up quick. So let's get this one here.
Softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation. They will also bring some pain to households and businesses.
That nigga said some pain. No.
How much damage can one speech do? I guess it depends on who is making that speech. Last Friday, it was Jerome Powell's turn. He's the chairman of the US Federal Reserve. It was probably the most important speech of his career, also for the global economy. The markets were looking for some encouragement. Since late June, things have looked relatively better. Inflation was nearing its peak. Stocks were recovering from record lows. All they need was some clarity from Powell. Any indication that he would ease up on monetary tightening. In other words, no more interest hikes. That's what everyone was hoping for. Instead, Jerome Powell delivered a war cry. He promised more rate hikes until inflation cools off.
At some point, as the stance of monetary policy tightens further, it likely will become appropriate to slow the pace of increases. Restoring price stability will likely require maintaining a restrictive policy stance for some time. The historical record cautions strongly against prematurely loosening policy.
For a central bank governor, that's saying a lot. He's not satisfied with small gains. He wants to decisively defeat inflation, and that means a lot of pain, slower growth, fewer jobs, and tighter budgets for smaller households. Basically, the perfect recipe for a recession. Immediately after the speech, we saw some indications. US markets began hemorrhaging money. The Dow Jones closed 3% down. NASDAQ closed almost 4% down, and S&P 500 closed 3.3% down. Put together, investors lost a lot of money. America's richest lost around $78 billion. Imagine that. 1 8-minute speech and $78 billion wiped out. Elon Musk lost around $5.5 billion. Jeff Bezos, $6.8 billion. Bill Gates, $2.2 billion. Warren Buffett, $2.7 billion.
Allegedly, far as we know. But you see, if this is true, this is them playing games with the people, man. This is how they play games with the people. This is conditioning and gradualism, man. Problem, reaction, solution, man. They gotta force Yahweh Shema Bashar is forcing them, man, to bring this MOTB, man. That's what's going on.
And it's not just the US. Powell's speech sent ripples across Asian markets. India's
And
Sensex
see, if the
closed.
people see these higher ups like these guys losing money, then we got to do something. If the people see these guys here is losing, if they lost money, then we got to do something. Problem, reaction, solution.
$2.7 billion. And it's not just the US. Powell's speech sent ripples across Asian markets. India's Sensex closed 1.4% down. Japan's Nikkei was 2.7% down. Taiwan, 2.3%.
Now, hold on. Let's say Asian markets take a hit, right? When you go to Second Ezra, with the Second Ezra 16, let's see, maybe 15. Yeah, Second Ezra 15 and 4-6 it reads, and thou Asia, thou art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and not the glory of her person. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they may please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. So the same thing that's happening in Babylon is happening throughout the four corners of the earth, man. Why? Because of the petrodollar. So that's why I said in Obadiah 1, and I was just watching the video. I was going to throw it in, but I ain't going to even do it today. Lord willing, I can get to it another day. It's Obadiah 1 and 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is no understanding in him. So, what does it mean by eating thy bread? Everybody got to use the petrodollar, man. Everybody make money. You know, Babylon the Great. You know, this commerce, commodity, whatever, trade port. Everybody make money from Babylon the Great through Babylon the Great's petrodollar, man. Right? How they change up the dollar to get the oil from Saudi Arabia. I might throw the video in, man. I might play some of it to show you what's going on with these devils, man, and this whole monetary system. But see, everybody is losing because of the petrodollar, man. But this is all a scheme. It's all a Ponzi scheme, man. And it's all conditioning people to get ready to take their MOTB, man.
South Korea's Kospi, 2.2%. The question is how? How does a policy announcement in the US affect emerging markets? Because of three reasons. Number one is borrowing. Most countries still borrow and repay in the US dollar. If the Fed hikes interest rates, that becomes difficult. Governments will have to spend more to service their debt. Reason number two is a sell-off. During such times, capital tends to flee emerging markets. Emerging markets lose money because investors prefer safer bets. For example, US Treasury bonds, they're safe. So all the liquidity heads to the United States, all the money goes there. And finally, reason number three, imported inflation. When the Federal Reserve hikes interest rates, the dollar becomes stronger. Take the Indian rupee, for example. Today, it briefly touched 80 against the US dollar, which means imported inflation. Anything that you buy from outside of India, becomes more expensive. It could be raw materials, it could be finished goods or services, anything that you import. Some of the bigger economies are relatively insulated from these ripples, like China, India, and Japan, but others will feel the pinch, like Argentina, Turkey, South Africa. It will come down to the Federal Reserve's next policy announcement. It's due in September, and by then, they will have more data to chew on. America's jobs report will be out on September the 3rd. The August inflation numbers will be out on the 13th. If the data is good, it could be a 50 basis point hike. If not, another 75 basis point hike, and a third one in a row. Now, all these hikes are aimed at cooling inflation, at bringing prices down. But the obvious risk is recession. These measures could trigger a recession when you have more aggressive hikes. You could stall the global economy, especially in the current condition. You see, central banks have limited tools to tackle inflation. Their biggest weapon is liquidity. That's basically cash flow in the market. They want to control that. If you hike interest rates, borrowing will come down. If borrowing comes down, so does liquidity. And if liquidity comes down, so will inflation. That's the basic rule of economics. But this inflation is different. Its major cause is not complicated macroeconomics. This is a geopolitical issue. I'm talking about the war in Ukraine. Energy disruptions are driving this inflation, and central banks cannot control that. Not the Federal Reserve, not the Reserve Bank of India, not the Bank of England, none of them. Which brings us to the front line in Europe. Winter is slowly creeping up on the continent. Experts say it could be a deadly one because energy bills are going through the roof. Benchmark gas prices are up 550%. In the UK, energy bills will rise 80% by October. Britons could be spending 10% of their income on fuel and heating. Most analysts believe a recession is inevitable in Europe. The question is, how deep will that recession be? Will it end after the winter, or will it persist longer? Frankly, a lot depends on how the war unfolds. Right now, the sanctions have derailed Europe's economy. Inflation is in double digits. Energy bills are rising and industries are slowing down. Russia has cut gas supplies to 20% of the normal capacity. Any lower, and Europe will go dark. So the politicians are panicking. In most countries, they've announced strict rationing, no street lights, no ironing, limited air conditioning. The idea is to squeeze every ounce of energy to save it. But will the people go along? After all, this is not their war. If the crisis escalates during winter, there could be public pushback, even protests across Europe. And Vladimir Putin is banking on that. He's hoping that the energy crisis will force Europe to stop supporting Ukraine. Like I said, this is not a macroeconomic crisis. It's a political issue. You have China and Russia creating new economic frameworks, almost de-globalizing their economy. You have lingering effects from the pandemic, like broken supply chains or rising health costs. And to top it all, you have multiple conflict zones. There's one in Ukraine, another brewing in Taiwan. When inflation is driven by such political issues, central banks have very little wiggle room. They can keep hiking interest rates, but that alone cannot cool inflation. The current global economic crisis needs a political solution.
All right, so let me get this here. I want to play some of this, man. I was watching this guy earlier, so I'm gonna play some of it. Okay, right here. So like it. I'm gonna play some of this. So check this out. It say how Russia, China economic strategy is crushing the dollar. Currency wars case study. So check this out. I'm gonna play some of this.
For decades, world trade has been dominated by the dollar.
The strength of a nation's currency is based on the strength of that nation's economy. And the American economy is by far the strongest in the world.
The SWIFT system, that actually became weaponized by the US.
The Monetary Authority of Singapore and the People's Bank of China have renewed the bilateral currency swap arrangement.
Saudi Arabia is in discussions with China to price some of its oil sales in yuan.
But as ties with Washington continue to be strained, Beijing and Moscow are diversifying.
China and Russia have taken another step closer towards dumping the dollar and agreed to trade in their respective national currencies, the Russian ruble and the Chinese yuan.
Hi everybody, the US dollar has been the most powerful currency in the world for 80 long years, and like we saw in the previous episodes, this reserve currency status gives the United States such unprecedented power over the world economy that it can cripple the economy of any country within a fortnight. And because of this power, it has even dominated giant players like Russia and China. But you know what, guys? This is where China and Russia have actually come up with a master plan to kill the dollar dominance in the world. And if you look at the past 10 years data, you will see that it's actually working out quite well. In 1999, USD had 71% market share among the global reserve currencies. But in the past 10 years, it has dropped to less than 59%. And in the next 10 years, if this strategy of China and Russia works out, we might see the rise of a new reserve currency in the form of Chinese yuan. So the question is, what is this master plan of China and Russia to kill the dollar dominance in the world? How do they plan to dethrone US from the superpower status of the world? And lastly, what are the challenges that China and Russia will face in this currency wars of the world? This video is brought to you by Cuckoo FM, but more on this at the end of the video.
Hey, it's Adam from StreamYard. We have an exciting new feature to announce called Green Room, which is now available.
To understand this China-Russia strategy, we first have to understand why is the US dollar so powerful and why does it have almost a monopoly status among the reserve currencies of the world. And if you watched our dollar superpower episode and if you remember this concept, please skip to this timestamp. If you don't, here's a quick and short explanation of the same. Firstly, dollar served as a reserve currency of trust, whereby in 1994, US said if you have dollars, we would exchange its value in gold at $35 per ounce. So now, two countries that may or may not trust each other could do trade with each other without trouble. So this way, when Indonesia got $1 million from Pakistan, even if Indonesia did not trust Pakistan, they know for sure that the $1 million that they got could be exchanged for gold with the US. So it was definitely worthy. Otherwise, if they do trade with Pakistan in Pakistani rupees, today 10,000 Pakistani rupees might be worthy of buying 1 gram of gold. But the next week itself, if Pakistan prints more money and declares that 20,000 Pakistani rupee will buy you 1 gram of gold, do you realize what would happen? The entire value of trade with Indonesia would actually collapse. Moreover, if Indonesia wants to use Pakistani rupees, then if other countries do not trust Pakistan's economy, then that money again could not be used for trade. But if the same transaction happened in dollars, the United States guaranteed the value of dollars with gold. So you could trade with any country with the US dollars and be rest assured that it could be used to trade with any other country to buy any other commodity. But in 1971, Richard Nixon came out of nowhere and ended this gold standard where everyone was free to choose any currency to trade.
The strength of a nation's currency is based on the strength of that nation's economy. And the American economy is by far the strongest in the world. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets. The effect of this action, in other words, will be to stabilize the dollar.
But even then, almost all countries stuck to the dollar. Why? Because dollar was the only currency that could buy you oil from the Saudis. And why is that? Because in 1945, the US President Franklin Roosevelt made an agreement of the century with the Saudi king, whereby the US guaranteed the security of Saudi Arabia, and in exchange, the Saudi king agreed to sell oil in US dollars. So if you wanted to buy oil, you needed to have US dollars. This is the second reason for the dominance of the dollar, and that is the power to purchase oil. And these two superpowers of trust and oil gave the US the third superpower through the SWIFT network. And how does the SWIFT network work? Through the US dollars stored in US bank accounts. So if an Indian trader wanted to make a transaction to the Sri Lankan trader, this system would have an Indian trader, an Indian bank, an American bank 1, American bank 2, foreign bank and foreign trader. The highlight over here being both Indian and Sri Lankan banks will have an account in the American bank where it has its money stored in dollars. So if Reliance wants to import minerals worth 1 crore rupees from Sri Lanka, they would give the Indian bank 1 crore Indian rupees and ask them to pay the same amount in dollars to the Sri Lankan trader's account. So now that Indian bank has 1 crore rupees in its Indian account, it would send a message to its dollar account in America to send 1 crore worth of dollars to the Sri Lankan bank's dollar account in the US. In this case, assuming 80 rupees to the dollar to be exchange rate, $125,000 would be transferred from the Indian account in the US to the Sri Lankan account in the US. And now that the Sri Lankan bank has $125,000 in the US account, it would pay the Sri Lankan trader the equivalent of $125,000 from its account in Sri Lanka. This is how the SWIFT network works. And just like Indian and Sri Lankan banks, today more than 200 countries and 10,000 banks trade with the US dollars and have their forex reserves with the American banks. And the catch over here is that if a country has $100 billion in forex and spends only $30 billion in import and export, they would have $70 billion in surplus, right? So you know what? Just like we avoid keeping a lot of savings and invest our money in stocks, these countries invest their excess foreign reserves in US Treasury bonds. And just like our government bonds, this is a mega bond whereby countries are lending billions of excess dollars to the US and expect a return after maturity. And this is where the unfair advantage of the US dollar comes in. As of January 2022, while Japan had $1.3 trillion in US securities, China holds $1.06 trillion and UK held $608 billion in US Treasury bonds. And in total, the US held $7 trillion by foreign and international investors as of September 2021. This is so much money that it's more than the GDP of France, India, and Russia combined. So in simple words, the US dollar has three superpowers: trust for trade, power to buy oil, and lastly, it has all the excess forex reserves invested in its own economy with $7 trillion in bonds. By the way, guys, these excess dollars are called as petrodollars. And this is where both Russia and China have a problem. And like we saw in the previous episodes, China is extremely annoyed at the US for supporting Taiwan, and Russia is already the most sanctioned country in the world. So now, Russia is not able to use its dollar accounts in the US to do trade, and at the same time, most of the Russian companies have also been removed from the SWIFT network. So with two superpowers being bullied by one big Uncle Sam, both of them got pissed and joined hands to take down the mighty United States of America itself. And this is where China and Russia started their game plan. So the question is, how can China and Russia together kill the dominance of the dollar, and what exactly is their strategy? Well, the first thing we need to understand is that leverage is one of the most powerful tools in geopolitics. In this case, Russia is one of the largest oil and gas producers in the world. So although Saudi and other countries were selling oil and gas in dollars, Russia punished its unfriendly countries by asking them to buy Russian oil in rubles. So by default, most of the European countries had to buy ruble in spite of they hating Putin for it. Which means what? In the payment network diagram, instead of US bank having dollar reserves, all the unfriendly countries that bought oil from Russia now had to keep their money in Russian central bank. So just like dollar reserves held the US economy, the ruble reserves are expected to compromise for the damage to the Russian economy. Which means just like petrodollar, we are seeing the rise of petro-ruble. And if you look at Russia's dollar reserves, they have been preparing to get rid of the dollar since 2014 itself. And if you see this graph, the US treasuries have gone down from $150 billion in 2013 to just $3.98 billion as of 2021. This is the leverage that Russia has over Europe. Similarly, China has its leverage with the Belt and Road Initiative countries. And if you remember from our BRI episode, China's Belt and Road Initiative is a $3 trillion project whereby the Chinese have given out over-generous loans to countries all across the world. And you know what? Under the BRI initiative, in total, there are 165 countries in the world who owe a collective debt of $385 billion to China. And many of these countries have taken so much debt from China that they cannot afford to pay it back to China. And we saw this very, very clearly with both Pakistan and Sri Lanka, right? And this is where China's strategic
We know what happened to Sri Lanka. Hey, this petrodollar, man,
comes in. And now that China has a leverage over these countries, experts say that China would now ask these countries to take and pay back loans in yuan. And in exchange, China could incentivize the scheme by giving them a 1% discount on their interest. Now, do you realize if Pakistan owes $24.7 billion in debt to China, considering its economic crisis right now, a 1% discount on a $24.7 billion in debt is a big, big deal for Pakistan. In fact, since the inception of the BRI initiative, China has already issued 14% of all its loans in its own currency without depending on the dollar. And guess what? In 2018, the Central Bank of Pakistan had already agreed to conduct their bilateral trade with China in yuan. And even other countries like Myanmar, Cambodia, and Russia are doing the same now. On top of that, China is now the largest trade partner with 25 BRI participating countries. So again, the leverage of trade for China is very, very strong. So you see, with the combination of both trade and debt, China could pressurize these countries to use yuan over the dollar. So this way, over time, China could pull the strings of 165 nations and could drastically increase the circulation of yuan. Now the question over here is, all these countries are mostly poor countries, right? So how would China and Russia get rich countries like England and South Korea to skip the dollar? Well, firstly, Russia is strongly supporting China and has already turned the Chinese yuan into their reserve currency. So this is a major move. And as far as other countries are concerned, they have something called bilateral currency swap agreement. And this is something that even India is pursuing very, very strategically with its ally countries. So the question is, what is the bilateral currency swap agreement and how does it actually work in international?
Now you see, I don't even want to play no more ad. I just want to show you. This was going on behind the scenes, man. While Jake went about getting the outfit ready for the club Friday and Saturday, man. The Lord is moving prophecy. So let me come back. I got some other clips I want to play. I just want to show you that's what's going on, man. That's what's going on behind the scene, man. While Jake out here playing games. So check this out. This is cause see, these devils is hurting, man. I'm finna show you. Check this out. His title, his page is Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. Check this out.
Hello, turkeys. Hello. We're raising a whole bunch of turkeys. See them? Actually, I'll tell you guys the truth. You heard of the crazy chicken lady? Well, we're the crazy turkey people. I think we're going to switch over to turkeys. Listen to them. So it's a little different than most homesteads. Everybody likes those chickens so much. We like to have some chickens, but we find more value in the turkeys. More meat. So you butcher less. As you get older, you're going to try to find systems, that are going to help you out a little bit, right? Because when you're young, you can do a lot more stuff. And as you get older, you want to try to get the most for the least effort, right? So the turkeys produce more meat.
Cute. Yeah, y'all are so cute.
Okay, so lucky.
You are.
So lucky.
You see this black box right here? Well, I'm going to show you something right now. Some people are concerned that they might have to go for a long period of time.
Okay, check this out.
Y'all are cute. Yeah.
I just want to get to the point here.
Do a video over here, so you guys got to walk on somewhere. All right, billionaire-funded eco group quietly taking farmland out of production in rural America. Right? Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen says the plans are flatly illegal. Now, I'm going to tell you guys what's going on, right? This is a news article here. I'm a little bit behind on my news articles. The American Prairie Conservation Project in Montana has quietly scooped up more than 450,000 acres of land with help of billionaire donors and the federal government. You guys, you don't understand what's going on right now, right? This is everything the founders of this country, America, warned us about is happening right before your eyes. And you guys are all just being quiet, not protesting, not getting out there, not being active. And this is going to not end well for us. A little known project aims to create the largest fully functioning ecosystem in the continental U.S. We already have a fully functioning ecosystem in the U.S. Why do they have to own it? Come on, man. By stitching together about 3.2 million acres of private and public lands. According to the American Prairie Foundation, which founded the reserve more than 20 years ago, we're in like this 50-year window in case you haven't noticed, all right? The group has recorded more than 34 transactions spanning roughly 453 acres, 453,000 acres, sorry about that. throughout central Montana, much of which were once used for farming and grazing since 2004 and continues to aggressively expand, right? Our mission is to assemble the largest complex of public and private lands devoted to wildlife in the lower 48. What they're saying is we're going to take this land off the market for farmers who can grow food and graze their beef. That's where you graze beef, right? We're going to take it off the market and you can't graze your beef there. Now, most of those guys use public lands, DNR, they call it, Department of Natural Resources land. And so they have these long-standing contracts with these guys, centuries old, where they can graze on the land there, right? And that was one of the stinks. If you guys remember a while ago, they had the big farmer up there, and he was trying to graze his stuff, and the feds came in.
Good morning. Rancher Cliven Bundy says the land that I'm standing on right now has been in his family for generations, since the 1870s. And in his mind, he's not just fighting some unfair fees. He's fighting to keep Uncle Sam out of everyone's backyard. Tensions reached the boiling point earlier this week after simmering for years in a Nevada turf battle pitting rancher Cliven Bundy against the federal government.
We haven't lost this battle. We're just barely beginning.
U.S. Rangers.
Now these all Joe 924s now. Yeah. It's these Joe. Yeah, Evil E is mad, man. Yeah. Welcome back. As we always say, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the bottom. Welcome back.
Rounding up Bundy's cattle, claiming he has been illegally grazing his herds on 600,000 acres of federal lands for 2 decades.
It's not the deal. The cows are not the deal. It's freedom and liberty and access to our land and get rid of this abusive government.
2 federal judges issued orders last year that if the 67-year-old rancher did not remove his cattle from the land, they could be seized. The seizure began on Saturday. No matter what the BLM does with his cattle, Bundy says this fight is bigger than he is.
I guess maybe I'm a little bit like the founding fathers. I got a job to do, and I'm going to do it the best I can.
Authorities want the cattle off this land for another reason. Environmentalists say it's home to the endangered desert tortoise and it's protected land.
And they tried to arm up on him and shut him up and tell him, no, we own this land. And all the citizens got together with their guns and they had a standoff. And you remember who won? The citizens won.
Hey, it's sedition amongst Esau, man. They should not regard their kings or princes. See, this is going on, man. Hey, you think these devils getting these guns? Hey, it ain't for Jake, man. It's to go against their own government, man. That's what's going on, man. Yeah. Ain't no more middle class. Now you either on the bottom with us Jakes or you on the top with the elites, man. Yeah. They pissed off with their government, man. Remember the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence? That was made for them. Okay, all that right to bear arms and freedom of speech. That was for these Edomites, man. When they set those constitutions and declarations up, you Jakes were still in slavery, man. So now we seeing their government. This is them. What they have always been. They have always been against each other, man. Okay, from the Greeks to the Romans. What happened in the Roman Empire? Who killed Julius Caesar? It was other Edomites that was on the Senate, man. Okay, it wasn't no Jakes. It was Edomites against Edomites. It always has been like this, man. And what we seeing is their kingdom is falling, man. It says 2 Ezra 11:39 that the end of their times may come through them, man. Through them alone. So welcome back to the bottom. Because we've been here. All Joe 924s on their horses. Pissed off at the government. Ah, we in some beautiful times. They ready to go to war about that land and that cattle, huh? This is crazy. They're bringing in troops. for the man of his land, his cattle, man. Job 9:24 against Job 9:24, man. This is beautiful.
They're going to start loading their equipment immediately. And within, well, it's going to take them more than 30 minutes, but they said they'd have their first vehicles going out in a few minutes to show that they're moving. Then we're going to go in, we're going to hold the gate, bring the cattle down.
Right? Don't forget that. And not a shot was fired either. So you don't have to be all crazy, but you have to stand up for yourself. We're not asking the federal government to create anything. We're not asking the federal government for any money, he added. Instead, we're engaging in private philanthropy and voluntary exchange of buying ranches from people who would like to sell that to us. These kids are growing up on these ranches and they don't want to keep the ranch, y'all. And they're going to sell out because it's all about the money. Our greed is what's going to take us down, right? The kids don't want to farm on the land. They want all the money. They're going to sell to those people because they don't really care who they sell to. They're going to own the land, and then they're going to own so much of this land, we won't be able to farm. That's another reason why they...
Because your kids, these Edomite kids, is not about this, man. Okay? They ain't husband. They're not husbandmen. We are, man. That's our custom, man. The time just changed. And the Lord put these devils in rulership. But we are the real husbandmen of the earth, man. Okay? They kids, hey, these what they call them, these baby boomers and these millennials and all these Edomites, they just want to spin, man. They don't care. Hey, they don't care about their family's business, man.
Put the trick bag on the farmers. The farmers used to be independent farmers, right? And I'm going to go through a few things here, and this is all going to make sense. The farmers used to be independent farmers, okay? Then they started having some troubles, maybe with the weather, maybe with the seed, maybe with whatever. Then the federal government started being their buddy and providing subsidies, okay? And then they get into their pockets, and then they start feeding them money every year. Now, all these farmers that you know of, right, these big farmers with these cornfields and soy fields and all that, they get so much subsidies from the government, right? Those equipment, they're driving $1 million tractors now, y'all. $1 million tractors. That is not farming, okay? Not even on any kind of level, $1 million.
See, it all goes to trusting in the government, man. These devils, hey, eventually they make you lean towards them, man. Trusting in the government, man. That's why the Lord say, envy thou not the oppressor in Proverbs 3:31. Envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways, man. Because these devils is greedy, man. And the scripture said they can never have enough.
Tractors, the cat just jumped up here. All right. So that's what they're doing. Okay. And that's exactly what they did if you paid attention the last 2 years. They're circumventing the rule of law, right? We don't need the federal government because they've all made a pact together to do what they're doing. They don't need the federal government, right? Can you hear that? Are you hearing that? They've made a pact, the billionaires, the people with all the money, right? And the government have made a pact. And you guys are watching this daily unfold right before your face. They're going to buy up all the land, and they're going to own all this land where we produce our food. And they're going to dictate to you exactly how high you got to jump, when you got.
And he's saying, well, we produce our food. You think he including you, Jakes, in that? No, he talking about Edomites, man. He talking about Edomites, man.
A jump. They're gonna pass out that social card, that you know, the passport, the vaccine passport. I'm telling you, it's coming, y'all. They're not gonna let this go. They're slow boiling you guys because they know there's gonna be a lot of resistance, right? There's 300 million people in this country. There's 400 million guns, and they're worried about it. Right? So they're slow boiling you in. They're turning you against your neighbor. They're isolating you. They're getting in your head, right? Meantime, they're buying up farmland. They're telling you what you can and cannot do. Even if you look around you, I bet you your little ordinances are getting a little stricter and a little stricter. And this is what I'm talking about, y'all, right? If we're going to make a stand on this, right? Good versus evil. If we're going to make a stand on this, you have to stand now while it's easy. If you guys don't get out and protest and make your voices heard and blow up the phones on your representatives, that's the first step right? That's the first step. And it seems like you guys are failing it big time, right? Get your friends together, get organized, start marching in the streets, stop going along to get along. They're buying up all the farmland. All their stuff they do is a multi-year plan, and you guys are working on right now today because they bombard you right now today. You don't have a plan. It overdoes your senses, right? It causes you to go into a fight or flight mode. Then you think about all the stuff going on. Then you can't do anything. Then the next day comes and the cycle repeats itself. And some of y'all have been trapped in a 2-year cycle where the last 2 years have went by and you have really accomplished nothing, right? And all you keep doing is worrying about silliness.
Hey, so what we see, they complaining, man. Okay? They complaining of ungodly fathers, man. That's what's going on. Now, the head brother of our camp did a video yesterday. I want to play this. Because the Lord, all this is going on. You got to remember, the Lord said he made the world for our sakes, man. Okay? And these things are happening because there's a transition of power, man. Now, the brother made a video. I just want to play the beginning of this. He titled, Rejoice and Be Glad, O Daughter of Idumea, right? Check this out. Now, this is from this guy, what's this guy name? Joe Rogan, right? Check this out. See, the Lord been listening to all the blasphemy of these devils, man.
We're American.
The Joe Rogan experience.
So look, I want to play this from the beginning. I'm just gonna play the few minutes of it. Check this out, man. See, the Lord said he heard all the boasting of these devils, man. And now they finna reap all the wickedness that they have done in the earth, man.
The Joe Rogan experience.
What we have to realize is that we're Americans. You know, we're deeply selfish monsters that have been bred to destroy all life on earth. We have to not lose sight of that message. We're here to fuck things up for everyone else, not each other. And that's what we had in the 80s and the 90s. We had a commitment to apathy while our leaders ran around pillaging the earth. And we made great movies and great art, and it was fine. Yes, people got killed, but people always get killed. But now we're at war with each other, where we should just be enjoying the spoils of the end of the empire. Truly. You should be enjoying it. People, so many people got killed, murdered, tortured, maimed for us to have all the nice things we have. Do you know how insane it is to not enjoy it? You know how crazy it is to not enjoy a McMansion, a flat screen TV, a McFlurry? You know how much blood is in the street for those things? And people act like they don't even matter. And they're fighting about all this bullshit. It's crazy. Anyway, that's the truth. That's the real truth.
Hold on. I got to read this. We're going to run that back, man. Hey, man, listen, we in the best times ever, man. Because these devils I ain't going to even say it. They being and moaning, man, live on wax. Psalm 64:7. But power shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Now again, this from the head brother of the GMS Orlando camp. His channel is GMS Auto 1 Ratazar 2. Subscribe to the brother channel, edifying lessons. So check this out. This on Joe Rogan. This devil come out with it, man. Listen.
Joe Rogan experience.
What we have to realize is that we're Americans. You know, we're deeply selfish monsters that have been bred to destroy all life on earth. We have to not lose sight of that.
He said they've been bred to destroy all life on earth. And we know this. They are the harbingers of death, man.
Message. We're here to fuck things up for everyone else, not each other. And that's what we had in the 80s and the 90s.
So you heard he just said, we're here to mess things up on everybody else, not each other, meaning on the Edomites. But we're here to destroy every other nation, right? Listen.
Commitment to apathy while our leaders ran around pillaging the earth. And we made great movies and great art, and it was fine. Yes, people got killed, but people always get killed. But now we're at war with each other, where we should just be enjoying the spoils of the end of the empire. Truly. And you should be enjoying it. So many people got killed.
He said we should just be enjoying the spoils of the end of the empire. Hold on, I gotta read a couple precepts. This is I want to get this in Psalms, right? So in Psalm 17, talk about them being a sword of the Lord, right? Verse 14 say, it say, from men which are thy hand, O Yahweh, from men of the world which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasures, they are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes, right? They get to enjoy this, man. This is Job 21. This is Job 21 in verse 7. It reads, wherefore do the wicked live, become old, yeah, are mighty in power. Their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of God upon them. Their bull genereth and faileth not, their cow calfeth and casteth not her calf. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They take the trembling heart and rejoice at the sound of the organ. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. They get to live good. So here's a guy telling you, let's just enjoy the spoils, man. Like I tell you, when you read Wisdom of Solomon 2, let's read some of this. The Lord got these devils coming out with it, man. This is Wisdom of Solomon 2. It reads, it's a I'm start at verse 4. And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as a trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again, which they don't understand reincarnation. So they say, verse 6, come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. This is what they have been doing. They get to use the whole earth because the earth was given to the hand of the wicked. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let not the flower of spring pass by us. Let us crown ourselves robust before they wither, because they know they got an end coming. Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place. They call their lands after their own names, right? For this is our portion, and our lot is this. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. And the Lord said he was going to do that in the curses in Deuteronomy 28, right? They shall not show favor to the old nor the young. It say, let our strength be the law of justice. Who make the laws? The so-called white man. Who sets policy and the standard of life? The so-called white man. Who makes the money? The so-called white man. Where you gotta go get your food, your transportation, your work, your housing? Where you gotta go and get it from? The so-called white man. Everything we gotta get, and the Lord said in the curse, Deuteronomy 28:48, right? You shall go to him for the want of all things. So they say, let our strength be the law of justice. Who makes the laws? Their policies and legislations, their democracy, their philosophy, their draconian measures. That's why the world is pissed off, because everybody done drunk of the wine of the wrath of Babylon the Great, man. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law. What law? Of Yahweh Shema Shah. And objective to our infamy and transgressions of our education. You see, everything about these devils' system is against Yahweh Shema Shah, man. And all it's doing is making you cleave to these devils and preparing you to take the MOTB. He professed to have knowledge of God, and he called himself the child of the Lord. And they know we are, man. See, they know we are. So let's listen.
Tortured, maimed, for us to have all the nice things we have. Do you know how insane it is to not enjoy it?
Salakia, I gotta run it back. I'm gonna let it run through. Salakia.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
What we have to realize is that we're Americans. You know, we're deeply selfish monsters that have been bred to destroy all life on Earth. We have to not lose sight of that message. We're here to fuck things up for everyone else, not each other. And that's what we had in the 80s and the 90s. We had a commitment to apathy while our leaders ran around pillaging the earth. And we made great movies and great art, and it was fine. Yes, people got killed, but people always get killed. But now we're at war with each other. We should just be enjoying the spoils of the end of the empire. Truly. You should be enjoying it. So many people got killed, murdered, tortured, maimed for us to have all the nice things we have. Do you know how insane it is to not enjoy it? You know how crazy it is to not enjoy a McMansion, a flat screen TV, a McFlurry?
Bro, the proud of these devils, man. That's why they got to go, man. The proud of these devils, man.
You know how much blood is in the street for those things? And people act like they don't even matter. And they're fighting about all this bullshit. It's crazy. Anyway, that's the truth. That's the real truth. Nobody wants to hear it, but that is the truth. We have a lot of these things are nice, but some of them are ill-gotten gains. Fine. You know, not everybody picking tomatoes is happy about it. But have you ever had a nice Jersey thick beefsteak tomato? It's good. Imagine having one and then fighting with someone about something.
You see, James, I got to read it. Salakia. I was going to let it ride. Well, he said, everybody that picking tomatoes is not happy, but have you ever had a nice, listen, hold on.
But that is the truth. We have a lot of these things are nice, but some of them are ill-gotten gains. Fine. You know, not everybody picking tomatoes is happy about it. But have you ever had a nice Jersey thick beefsteak tomato? It's good. Imagine having one and then fighting with someone about something.
You see, this is James 5:4. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, cry, and the cries of them which have reaped and entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Ye have lived in pleasures on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the days of slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doeth not resist you. See, this is the pride of these devils, man.
Stupid. If there's a hell world going, and if there's not, we get reincarnated when we're Beatles or something. But just enjoy it, and nobody wants to enjoy it. And that's what makes me upset, is that we used to have a country built on enjoyment, built on fat, stupid people enjoying the work of a small group of demons. And now we can't even enjoy it. Can't even have maybe it will, and God bless.
When I was a kid, I remember reading about like the fall of the Roman Empire and the fall of the Greek Empire. And then I was thinking about America.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this thing going to go away someday?
Right.
Is that possible? Is it possible that this is just one? I mean, we want to think it's fucking permanent, but I bet the people of Rome felt the same way.
Of course they did.
This is how it is. This is how I live every day. This is not going to change.
Right.
And Russians know.
They know.
They know. They
know. You see, they know, man. They know their kingdom gonna fall, man. Let me read this. In the book of Job 24, it reads this, in 23. Though it be given him to be in safety, Esau Edom, whereon he resteth, yet his eyes are upon their ways. Yeah, how about Shemamashah's eyes is upon their ways? They are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. They are taken out of the way as all other, and cut off as the tops of the ears of corn. And if it be not so, who will make me a liar and make my speech nothing worth? Who's going to make the Lord a liar, man? Now, I got to show this too, because these devils, so lucky. I don't know my camera keep doing that. Hold on, okay. Let me pull this other clip. Yeah, man. They know, man. And this is from Elder Monat Zakbar. He did this lesson yesterday. I was watching the plantation last night. I said, I got to throw this in there too. So here these devils, which we know, the elder did a beautiful lesson.
Known.
Going into this, these devils, man, but the Lord said in Ezekiel 4:13, man, that we would eat our food, the foul, among the Gentiles. So I want to play some of this.
The industry-wide secret butchers don't want you to know about. Major suppliers have been caught using a special product known as meat glue to stick together scraps of meat to sell as prime cuts. While this product has been banned overseas, there's no law prohibiting its use here.
It's the meat industry's dirty secret.
I've just got some fine diced beef and my special enzyme. Mix it up a bit.
Why have we got the masks on?
This is dangerous. See that? Don't breathe that in.
This powder is transglutamase enzyme, otherwise known as meat glue. Primary ingredient comes from the blood plasma of pigs and cattle, specifically the coagulant which causes blood to clot.
So just got a little bit here, about a teaspoonful. Just over the top like that. And with our gloves on, of course, we mix it up.
Then roll it in plastic film and refrigerate. 6 hours later, you have a solid piece of meat. And it's not just beef. Pork, lamb, fish and chicken are all stuck back together using this glue. It looks like one piece of chicken.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yep.
I've sort of got two concerns. One that is well publicised, which is misleading people. The other area is the microbial side.
It's why the European Union moved to ban meat glue in May last year. Microbiologist Glenn Pinner.
If this food is sold or represented as a solid piece of steak and you cook it rare, you're really leaving yourself open to get food poisoning.
Once you glue two pieces together, it's difficult to cook thoroughly those parts that were on the outside but are now on the inside.
The amount of bacteria on a steak that has been put together with meat glue is hundreds of times higher.
Are you just shaking your head?
A little bit.
This cube roll we bought from a wholesaler that produces stuck-together
This is
steaks
madness,
en
bro.
masse. Their effort's so good, James, our butcher, couldn't tell even when it was raw. It's even harder in the restaurant, which are some of the biggest users of glued meat. Unless you're a vegetarian, you're eating it on a regular basis. With current labelling laws, neither butchers nor your local eatery have to
madness,
tell you
man.
you're eating chicken glued together with cow's blood or beef held together by pig. It's the same reason they can take low-grade meat and pump it with water and flavour to make it edible. Then the practice of selling mutton as lamb and old cow as prime cut beef, like this. So old, a meat grader said it was only good for pet meats.
Madness, man. Madness, man. Nah. I want to play this one more time because I'm finna get these precepts. These devils, man. I want to play this one more time. I got to.
Joe Rogan experience.
What we have to realize is that we're Americans. You know, we're deeply selfish monsters that have been bred to destroy all life on Earth. We have to not lose sight of that message. We're here to fuck things up for everyone else, not each other. And that's what
And he talking about messing things up for every other nation, but not the Edomites. What the Lord is doing, he's messing up the Edomites, man.
had in the 80s and the 90s. We had a commitment to apathy while our leaders ran around pillaging the earth. And we made great movies and great art, and it was fine. Yes, people got killed, but people always get killed. But now we're at war with each other, where we should just be enjoying the spoils of the end of the empire. Truly.
He said we should be enjoying the spoils of the end of an empire, which they know that end is coming, man. They know it, man. But 2/3 of Jake getting their outfits ready for the club this weekend, man. But these devils know their end is coming, man.
You should be enjoying it. People, so many people got killed, murdered, tortured, maimed for us to have all the nice things we have. Do you know how insane it is to not enjoy it?
You see that? Why not enjoy it? They already dead. Might as well enjoy it. That's why these devils got to pay.
How crazy it is to not enjoy a McMansion, a flat screen TV, a McFlurry. You know how much blood is in the street for those things? And people act like they don't even matter. And they're fighting about all this bullshit. It's crazy. Anyway, that's the truth. That's the real truth. Nobody wants to hear it, but that is the truth. We have a lot of these things are nice.
Hey, and this is what we want to hear. We want to hear the truth from Esau for once, man. We want to hear the truth, man. Good. This is what we want to hear, man.
But some of them are ill-gotten gains. Fine. You know, not everybody picking tomatoes is happy about it. But have you ever had a good, like a nice Jersey thick beefsteak tomato? It's good. Imagine having one and then fighting with someone about something. It's stupid. if there's a hell world going, and if there's not, we get reincarnated when we're Beatles or something. But just enjoy it.
No, you're gonna get reincarnated for slavery, man. For slavery, boy. That's what you getting reincarnated to. Slavery. Yeah. At least they know, man. At least they accept what they have done, man. They know it. That's why none of them get to come. That's why they won't come up to camp and go against they the devil, man. Because they know it.
And nobody wants to enjoy it. And that's what makes me upset, is that we used to have a country built on enjoyment, built on fat, stupid people enjoying the work of a small group of demons. And now we can't even enjoy that.
And the brother did the edifying lesson, man. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Idumea, man. You might as well enjoy it. That's what he's saying. Let's just enjoy it. Like through all the rape, rob, murder, pillage, and plunder that our forefathers did, why are we not enjoying it? You might as well, because this is it for you. After this, it's a kingdom for the Israel, man.
Can't even have maybe it will, and God bless.
When I was a kid, I remember reading about like the fall of the Roman Empire and
Yeah.
the fall of the Greek Empire. And then I was thinking about America.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this thing going to go away someday?
Right.
Is that possible? Is it possible that this is just one? I mean, we want to think it's fucking permanent, but I bet the people of Rome felt the same way.
Of course they did.
This is how it is. This is how I live every day. This is not going to change.
Right.
And Russians know.
They know.
They know.
You see? Hey, they know, man. These devils know, man. So this is Ezekiel 35:10. It reads, because thou hast said, Salakia, Ezekiel 35:13, thus with your mouth have ye boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me. I have heard them. Thus with your mouth ye have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me. I have heard them. This is Psalms. See, these devils, man, been boasting for a long time, man. Psalms 55:19 it reads, God shall hear and afflict them, even he that abideth of old, because they have no changes, therefore they fear not God. They have no changes, man. These are the same ones over and over that come back in reincarnation. These are the same ones, man. It say, God shall hear and afflict them, even he that abideth of old, because they have no changes, therefore they fear not God, man. They don't fear Yahweh Shema Shah. So this is Psalms 50:21. So they've been boasting for a long time, man. And you heard it. That was some of the best boasts I ever heard, man. Psalm 50:21. These things has thou done, and I kept silent. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. Right? When you go to Ecclesiastes 7:10, it reads this. You heard what Joe Rogan said when he read about the Roman Empire, the fall, and the Greeks, right? Then America. He said the Romans, the Greeks, then America, because they know that these was their rulerships. These were the rulerships of the Edomites, man. Okay? They know, man. They know their history. Ecclesiastes 7:10. Say not thou, what is the cause that the former days were better than these? For thou doest not inquire wisely concerning this. What did Trump say? Let's make America great again. Keep America great, right? When was America so-called great? When you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, you West Indians and Haitians was in slavery, man. That's when America was so-called great for them. Ecclesiastes 7:10. Say not thou, what is the cause that the former days were better than these? What's the cause that a person to say, man, back in the days, man, everything was better back in the day, right? Everything was better all the way back. Yeah, it was better for them, man. Say not thou, what is the cause that the former days were better than these? For thou doest not inquire wisely concerning this. Jake don't consider Why these people are saying this? Why Trump kept talking about making America great, keep America great? Why? What does that mean? These devils' end is drawing nigh, man. Okay, and everybody reflecting on how America used to be, man. This is how America used to be. This is John 10 and 10. You heard what Fat Boy said. All the rape, robbery, murder, pillaging, and plundering they have done. Let's just enjoy the fruits of our labors. So John 10 and 10, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy, man. That's what they do. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they may have life and that they may have it more abundantly, man. That's why we waiting on Yahweh Shema Shah, man. Because Yahweh Shah don't return, we're gonna die. We're gonna die grievous deaths, man. We're gonna die, man. Okay, it tell you in Mark 16 how the Lord said we shall drink poisons and it shall not hurt us, man. Okay, these devils, but the Lord said in Ezekiel 4 and 13 that we was gonna eat our food to follow them on the Gentiles, man. These niggas are putting meat glue, man. Jake think they're eating real steak. You eating pieces of meat with pork in it, man. These devils gotta go, man. But it's a thief. He's a thief, man. This is Job 20. Hey, that's what everything these devils have done, they gotta pay, man. This is Job 20 and 18. That which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein, because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor. The poor is you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, because he hath violent taken away an house which he buildeth not. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. These devils, this is what they do, man. They got to pay back everything that they have done. They got to pay it back, man. The Lord said in Galatians 6 and 7, man. They got to pay back everything, man. This is Job 27 in verse 7. It reads, so like, no, I wanted hold on, bear with me. Right, Job 27 and verse, what is it? This is Job 27:16. It reads, though he heap up silver as the dust, and to tell you that in James 5, right? It said, though he heap up silver as the dust and prepare raiment as the clay, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver, right? So though they doing all these things, man, though they doing all these things and it seems like they're getting away with it, they are not going to get away, man. It say, Job 27:16, though he heap up silver as the dust, tell you in James 5, and prepare raiment as the clay, they suits, right? They fancy garments, whatever they like to wear. He may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the spoils. And that's why I say in Revelations 13, here is the patience and the faith of the saints, man, waiting patiently for these devils, man. This is Proverbs 28 and 8. They say the same difference. See, they gathering it, man. But they ain't gonna get to enjoy these things, man. Proverbs 28 and 8 reads, he that by usury and unjust gain increases his substance. What did God say? Through ill-gotten gains, right? Through ill-gotten gains, man. Proverbs 28:8. He that by usury and unjust gain increaseth his substance, he shall gather it for him that will pity the poor. Who is him that will pity the poor? Yahweh Shema Shah that will pity the whole flock of Israel, man. This is Matthew chapter 11. We have suffered so much, man. So much under the hand of these devils, man. Hey, all nations had a hand on us, but there's no nation on the planet Earth that did us like the Edomites did, man. There's no other nation that did us like the Edomites did, man. This is Matthew 11 and 12, it reads. And from the days of John the Baptist unto now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. Who is the violent? Esau, Edom, the so-called white nation, man. So-called white man. It say, Matthew 11:12. And from the days of John the Baptist unto now, right now, man, the kingdom of heaven, which are you Israelites, suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. Now, real quick, in Luke 17, to prove to you who the kingdom of heaven is, let's read this. Luke 17:20 reads, and when he was demanded of the Pharisees, when the kingdom of God should come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of God cometh not with observation, neither shall they say, lo here or lo there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you, right? When you go to Deuteronomy 32:1, making a point about the kingdom of heaven is you Israelites, man. And we have been suffered violence since the Greeks, man. These devils, man. Deuteronomy 32:1. Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. The Lord is talking to you Israelites. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. He said, give ear, O ye heavens, you Israelites. We are the heavens, man. Okay? So, in Matthew 11, Matthew 11:12, it reads, and from the days of John the Baptist unto now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. And you can go to what's that, Psalms? Was that Psalm 141? I think it is. No, Psalm 140. It reads, verse 1, deliver me, O Yahweh, from the evil man, preserve me from the violent man, who imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war. You see, they have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under his lips. Right? What it say in Revelation 12? I think in Revelation 12, had two horns like a lamb, but spake as a dragon. Okay, it said they have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under his lips. Keep me, O Yahweh, from the hand of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent man who have proposed to overthrow my goings. So the violent man is Esau, Edom, the so-called white nation. Okay? So, again, it said in Matthew 11:12, and from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force, man. These devils, man. Okay? But guess what? In Isaiah 11, it reads this. Isaiah 11:10. And in that day, there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. It say, to it, to that root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people, to it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. Who are the Gentiles? Let's find out. In Hosea 8:8, it reads this. Israel is swallowed up, now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. So these Gentiles in Isaiah 11 It's talking about the Israelites that scattered among the real Gentiles. Okay, we was Gentiles too at a point in time. So back in Isaiah 11 and 10, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. Yahweh Shah. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall send his hand again a second time to recover a second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the isles of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim, but they, all 12 tribes, shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines, which are those so-called Hamites, those so-called African Hamites that sold us to these devils. And they shall fly upon the shoulder of the Philistines towards the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. So, all we got to do is wait patiently, man. Because the Lord is finna do in the earth is magnify his name and his children, man. And the sons of Yahweh, man. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 and verse 6. It reads, Seeing it is a righteous thing with God to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. And to you who are troubled, rest with us, when the Lord Yahweh shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels, in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God. And that's the heathen nations, and 2/3. But the heathen nations, taking vengeance, it say, in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahweh Shah Mashiach. So, these 2/3, and these heathen nations, and 2/3, man, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power, man. And this is what we are patiently waiting on, man, because these devils is running around the earth boasting, man, boasting. This is James 2 and 13. And we're going to wait. We're going to wait patiently, man. James 2 and 13. For he shall have judgment without mercy that have showed no mercy. And mercy rejoiceth against judgment, man. This is Colossians chapter 3 and 25. It reads, But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done, and there is no respect of persons, man. And you got to pay. This is my closing precept. This is Job. These devil time is coming, man. This is Job 11 and 13. It reads, For if thou prepare thy heart and stretch out thy hand towards him, towards Yahweh Shem Shah, if iniquity be in thy hand, put it far away, and let not wickedness dwell in thy tabernacles. For then shalt thou lift up thy face without spot. Yeah, thou shalt be steadfast and shalt not fear. But thou shalt forget thy misery, which we have went through, all the misery these devils have done to us. It say, For then shalt thou lift up thy face without spot, yet thou shalt be steadfast and shalt not fear, because thou shalt forget thy misery and remember it as waters that pass away, right? If you stand on the river, the waters that constantly pass flow. You're going to forget it. It's gone. It say, verse 17, and thy age shall be clearer than the noonday. Kingdom of heaven. Thou shalt shine forth, thou shalt be as the morning, and thou shalt be secure, because there is hope. Yeah, thou shalt dig about thee, and thou shalt take thy rest in safety. Also, thou shalt lay down, and none shall make thee afraid. Yeah, many shall make suit unto thee, because we're going to have servants, tributaries forever. Verse 20. Here come the wicked. But to the eyes of the wicked, shall fail. But the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall not escape. And their hope shall be as the giving up of the ghost. Because that's the best they hope is just to die and give up the ghost, man. Okay? These devils have been boasting. I want to read this too, real quick. This is Isaiah 40. Listen to this. Isaiah 40:1. Comfort ye, my people, saith your God. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished. Our warfare is accomplished. It say that her iniquity is pardoned, for she had received of the Lord's hand double for all her sins, man. The Lord says he's going to bless us with double, man. It's in Isaiah 60, Isaiah 61, man. He's going to give us double, man. Hey, so Lord was edifying. Gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rekak, Wadash. Hold on. Double honors to the apostles and elder bishops and elders of great millstone rule well, who teach well, what apostles and elders of all Israel really accepted or not. In the sincere salutation to all the ark and pushing this truth and believing this truth, but the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hope for the elect. And shalom to the ark walk who are listening and learning. You few sisters who are listening and learning. Hey, you know what? I forgot about. I want to show this last clip I got right here, real quick. It's only 3 minutes. Let me show this real quick. The water for tuning in, the water for your precepts. Let me show this. It's titled Russia-China ties raise eyebrows. West weary of Russia-China plans for Arctic. So let's play this real quick. It's only 3 minutes.
When two of your longtime foes decide to join hands, it can only mean that the future is awaiting more trouble. The United States found itself in a pickle last week when Russia and China called for closer ties. And since it has been trying to cover all its bases like the Arctic, the region is a peaceful and stable area that is seen as strategically important to the nations in its proximity. They are the United States, Canada, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and Russia. 5 of these nations are already members of the NATO alliance. Finland and Sweden are close to sealing their spot in the military bloc. That leaves out only Russia, which has emerged as a threat. Hence, the United States is set to announce an ambassador to the region. The country thinks this way. It will be able to monitor the developments closely. And the NATO chief agrees. In a recent visit to the region, Jens Stoltenberg raised concerns over how Russia is using the region like a missile test bed. At a time when tensions are at their peak with the West, the Kremlin has reopened hundreds of Soviet-era military sites in the Arctic. This is worrying for the United States because the shortest path to North America for Russian missiles will be over the North Pole.
We also realize that the importance of the High North is increasing for NATO and for Canada, because we see a significant Russian military buildup with new bases, new weapon system, and also using the High North as a test bed for their most advanced weapons, including hypersonic missiles.
Since the invasion of Ukraine in February this year, the West has grown extremely wary of Russia's global plans. For example, Canada was criticized for spending too little on its military capabilities as a NATO member. But after Russia's invasion, the Trudeau government decided to invest $3.8 billion to modernize NORAD, which is a joint US-Canadian North American defense organization. China has also pledged to boost cooperation in the region. Beijing calls itself a near-Arctic state and has ambitious plans for its polar Silk Road. China has its eyes on the untapped minerals and resources of the Arctic region. And climate change seems to be an invincible partner on the dragon, because with ice caps melting, it is paving a new shipping route for Beijing. The country wishes to build the world's largest icebreaker fleet. The plans obviously haven't sat well with the NATO. It will mean 2 of America's most staunch rivals will be in its backyard. The alliance is mulling over an increased presence in the Arctic and also expand its investments to keep Russia and China out of the region. WION is now available in...
So yeah, I just wanted to show that. So until next time, I say shalom. Wah, abba. Thank you for tuning in. May your help by Shema Shah continue blessing your houses. Stay prayed up.